Well, hey guys, on this week's show, someone is a killer.
Hey, it's me.
Hey, what do you know?
Act surprised.
So on this episode, we're going to dive into all those details and Aaron Bennett's kill and Cody West's kill.
Yep.
But we also want to let you guys know about some cool new stuff coming to DeerCast, one of which is if you run a Muddy or Stealth Cam, you will now be able to look at your cell cam images in your DeerCast maps.
There's a new layer called the Command Pro layer. You turn on the layers, go to the bottom and flip it on. And then you have to connect to your stealth camera or Command Pro rather. And once you connect, they all pop up in a list. And then the icons pop up on your DeerCast map.
Yep.
It's really slick. The really cool part is with that Command Pro integration into DeerCast, it kind of coincides with this awesome Black Friday deal that we got going on.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the revolver in this upcoming episode, but you can get a free revolver if you upgrade your DeerCast to unlimited. So you get all the parcel data for the entire country, plus you get one of the best, coolest cell cams on the market.
It is
right
cool.
now.
It's awesome. I've really fallen in love with it. Anytime you got a field or a food plot, it is a perfect place to put on.
Don't miss a thing.
Yeah, so wanted to check out this episode. There's a lot of cool things we're talking about, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there listening.
Gobble, gobble. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast powered by DeerCast. You're listening to the voice of Tim Chelswick.
Hey, everybody.
And then everyone just tuned out. They got these jackasses.
And this is Matt Drury.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, I'm here too.
You say it as though like an also ran, but really you're kind of the star of this week's show.
Oh boy. Everybody just, if they hadn't tuned out, they just did.
You're going to jump over to the Judd's podcast.
Man, I have heard a lot of Judd's music in the last 2 weeks.
I think it's one of those things like when you buy a certain car, then that's all you
car.
see on the
Yeah.
road. But the Judds are a predominant force in country music still. And that was a fun fact, man.
Yeah. What was? Which one was hotter?
No. And this was a Rack Pack post. By the way, if you're not a Rack Pack member, it's on Facebook. It's free to join. It's exclusive.
Most importantly, it's free.
Very exclusive.
We've had a lot of activity in there in the last couple of weeks.
I know where I'm going. That song popped up on your dash. You took a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was fun fact. That was originally intended to be a gospel song. And you're like,
Not really
not
that
so
fun of a fact.
kind of a fact.
Sorry, Tim.
Oh
No, I said you would think that was a fun
yes,
fact.
yes. That was the spirit behind it. Oh yeah, gave me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about your success.
Yep.
But I figured we could spend the bulk of the time talking about a 2.5-year-old deer that I passed on.
Okay. Good for you, Tim.
It really shows a maturity.
Really going places.
And, and now if people haven't tuned out,
Yeah.
they are going to. Okay. So take us through this deer, the proper, like the whole shebang.
Yeah. So Aaron Bennett and I picked up a fairly sizable lease, but it was late.
Aaron Bennett is your domestic partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're good friends. Known each other a long time. So he and I picked up a piece of property that it was through a mutual friend, a guy that we know and known for a little bit. And so we just lucked into it more or less because we knew the guy. And so it was kind of near some of my other dirt. And we were late to the game, like confirmation on whether or not for sure it was a lease that we were going to get was all the way into October. We found out about the property in July. And we started doing some of the work, but it wasn't like for sure. Yes, you guys are
sketchy.
We were doing some work on it. He gave us permission to put cameras out and stuff, but we hadn't had the final say until pretty late.
That's kind of a gamble.
And it was. And finally, Aaron just sent his money. He's like, I'm sending him the money. I don't feel good about hunting it. I'm like, I'm waiting until I got a contract, So anyways, we got all that figured out. And so there's plenty of good deer on it, but there were two what we felt like great deer on it that kind of stood above the rest. And he nicknamed one Sprouts because it had split G2s. It had like a split brow at his base, 2 or 3 little points coming off of it. And then there was another deer. We didn't really have a name for it. And we just kept calling it the one. And it was the one. I was like, let's just call it the one. Yeah. It's a nice buck.
The Gretzky buck.
And we were using those. We had a bunch of different cameras, stealth cams on this piece, but the flashbacks, I was testing out a bunch of those flashbacks, and this deer, the one, loved the flashbacks.
Isn't that funny? Because the main thing people say about the white flash is
Aaron says it. Yeah, he's like, oh no, put another flashback.
He does talk like that.
and this deer loved it. And every picture, I mean, just looked like a giant. I mean, have I showed you any of the pictures?
I've seen a couple.
Yeah, I mean, the deer is just awesome. He was a typical 10, a mainframe 10. And typical. It was not, like perfect rack. But he was actually an 11 pointer. But he had a mainframe 10 frame to him. So anyways, we started hunting pretty hard there, and it wasn't even until like mid to late October until we started hunting. I think on October the 22nd, we had finally got in a bunch of new stealth cams and hawk stands, and we went out, a big group of us, and hung cameras and hung stands that day. We had a couple blinds that we had put out previously on it. And so if you think about, we're late to the game, food plots, like we tried a couple, it just hit that drought real bad.
What did you try throwing down?
Well, we tried a couple different things. One was the biologic. I feel like we tried Last Bite and added some clover into it. But Forrest had found some sort of mix that was exclusive to, I don't know if it was Farm and Home or what Farm and Home store it was, but it was something in Kirksville that Biologic had an exclusive mix for. And it had some stuff that would have came up late, rye and winter wheat and stuff like that. So we tried that a couple different times, and it just didn't get any rain. So we had a big rain coming, I think it was late October. And so Aaron went out and broadcast, like last ditch effort, broadcast some stuff. And it's coming up now. It actually looks pretty good. But what we did have was a decent amount of standing beans that we had on the property. Yeah. So that was a big draw. So anyways, we're hunting pretty hard, especially like late October. Well, no, I take that back. We just hunted a couple times late October. And then like me and you and Aaron has young kids, and, Halloween and all the stuff, the election stuff was right around the corner there. All that stuff was basically saying, all right, we're not hunting until, I think it was like November 3rd or 4th until youth season was right there too. So neither one of us could hunt up there. Youth season. So it was like November the 4th or 5th until we actually started hunting hard up there. So we had, I'm not even lying, this probably 5 or 6 encounters with the deer we call the one, but it was nothing on camera. It was always, I get out of it. I plan on sitting all day. Aaron, he's hunting on a different part of the property. He says, hey, I can only hunt till noon. I'm going to get out and go get lunch. Come with me, and the
siren song of lunch.
Yeah. And I've done this so many times with him where I know better and I shouldn't get out for lunch, and I've got out. And so, we were in a good spot for the morning, going to sit all day, and then boom, go out for lunch. We're back too late to sit the same spot. So we kind of back off where you could see the spot, but we're sitting a little further back, in a blind instead of a stand. Sure enough, there walks the buck under the stand, 30 yards. There was another day where he could only hunt till noon. I was going to hunt all day. He gets down at 12 or 12:30, and he looks, down the wood line, and there's the buck with a doe at 80 yards looking at him. Another time where I'm in a stand, and I was going to go back at the very end of a ridge into the timber where I felt like the deer was based on the cameras. Sure enough, as I'm getting ready to go back there, I see pictures of him back there. So I back off and sit, kind of on the fringe, and end up seeing it. Kind of felt like he'd be filtering out this way. Yeah. I see him chasing a doe and a couple bucks kind of on the opposite side of the ridge from us. And so just kept seeing the deer, but never had any footage of him. It was weird. We kept saying we've never seen a deer so many times and had encounters with him, but never had footage of
Were
him.
you worried that you were going to educate him based on all those encounters?
Not really. The one with Aaron was the only one where we felt like he was looking back at Aaron, but he really didn't know that Aaron had the wind in his favor, and he didn't really know what was going on. Just kind of walked off. And that was the only time. Yeah, the only time he really saw any of us until I had an encounter with him the afternoon before the Missouri firearm season.
Okay.
And where we set up a box blind that it was a hawk blind on a Keen trailer. So those trailers that you could pull in behind your truck and pop it up. And we pop it up on a little plot that we had brush hogged, killed, and planted twice. Forest came down and planted it for us. No-till drilled it, and it just didn't come up. But there was like green,
some kind of new growth.
There was some sort of new growth there. And Aaron, earlier, like 2 or 3 weeks earlier, we pulled that Keen trailer over there, but we put it on beans, and I kept telling him, I was like, I think we need it back on the end of this ridge on this plot, because he's like, there's no food there. I'm like, yeah, but that's where that's the security cover. That's where this deer is basically living. I think we have a better bow chance, even gun chance, back here in the back of this ridge. And we kept getting, I was like, screw it. I stuck a revolver 360 in the middle of that thing, and we kept getting pictures of him there. And Aaron's like, oh, you should have put that blind there. I was like, I told you son of a gun.
Listen to you and your stupid lunches.
Yeah. So Monday, this would have been the week leading into firearm season. So on Monday, I had come home, and I had been gone a lot. We give our wives a lot of crap for not caring about what we do, but I got to give her a lot of credit, because I was gone a lot from basically November 3rd on, basically the entire week for 2 weeks straight. And then leading into the third week where I'd come home a day or 2 days or whatever, and that's it. And I was staying up north. So anyhow, I was home. I came into work, had to get some stuff done, a few meetings on Monday, and then I was going to come up Monday afternoon to hunt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, till I kill. That's what I kept telling my wife. When you coming home? I'm not until I kill something.
See you next year.
So Will, the guy that's been filming with me, and Aaron went and popped up that Keen trailer. They moved it back there, popped it up where we said to pop it up. And so that was on Monday. And then on Friday afternoon, I had hunted it a couple times between them, but Friday afternoon I'm in there. We sat all day. We went in the morning, and I just told, we had a real thick fog that morning. And I told Will, I was like, let's just pack a lunch and go in. And we got the cover. We got great cover getting in there.
Sure.
Wind's in our favor. I feel like we hadn't seen him for a couple days. I feel like he's locked it down with a doe somewhere right here. Yeah. So let's just stay here. This is his core area. So we go all day, and those all day sits, man, it's all good in theory, but they are freaking
mentally
brutal.
Fatiguing.
I mean, I probably had 5 or 6 up to that point, and they're just brutal.
Yeah. And
so we're sitting there all day. We saw, maybe 8 to 10 deer in the morning throughout the whole morning, and then nothing until the afternoon. A little buck would come out. They kept acting weird. They'd come up from our, from our right, and they just kept acting real weird when they'd come up over there. And I just, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder if he's bedded over here with her. Well, the way they're acting, they're just like, oh my, there's somebody going to kick my butt over here.
Could be.
Real weird. Cause we had the wind. It wasn't anything like that. And the way the blind set up, we're backed up against a bunch of brush, tall, brushy trees and shit like that, just real thick and gnarly back there. So there was nothing really going to get behind us necessarily, other than the road in.
Okay.
And so a buck came up, maybe a 2-year-old came up from below us. We're on the top of a ridge. Yeah, on the top of a ridge. He came up from the bottom, and he came up and laid down at the edge of the timber on the edge of the food plot. And Will was filming him, and he stopped filming. He's like, oh, that buck just jumped up. And I look over and like wigged out. And I look over and I go, it's him. It's the one.
Oh boy.
And he had walked that, but he come out from the right and just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And as soon as he came in, all of our windows are closed the whole time and locked up. And as soon as he came out, he went back in. Well, I opened up.
What time was this?
It was early. It was fairly early. I mean, I say early. There's probably 20 or 30 minutes left in the evening.
Okay.
In the afternoon hunt. And I opened the front window because that's where the buck ended up running. I thought, okay, he'll come and continue to walk this deer off. So I open up the front window, and this is where I screwed up. And anybody can say whatever they want about hunting out of a blind. There's a science to knowing when to open the windows, know when to. Yeah, it's real easy. All the stuff, you know, you got two guys, all the crap we had in there.
Trying to film it.
Yeah. And so Will's on the right where the deer come out, and he's sitting basically in the window, you know, like a little sliver of where we had the curtain opened up, and he's filming. And I open the side or the front window, and I start kind of a couple light grunts, trying to just get the deer to come back out because he couldn't see over on the other side of by the roll of the terrain. He could have seen the other side of the field. So I thought, okay, I'm going to call a little bit and then maybe just kind of tickle the horns a little bit to real light because I know he's right here 40 yards and somewhere right here. And where I screwed up is at that time, I should have opened the side window, the side he was on, but I was worried about my thermals at the end of the evening starting to kind of drift down on his side. And I kept thinking the little buck's in front of us. If I could call and do little things, he's going to walk out and walk this deer off. And so anyways, we're adjusting our chairs and doing all that stuff. And I'm making some calls, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, I start seeing the doe walk out. I'm like, okay, it's the first time we confirmed he is with a doe. She walks out, and this deer, the one, just comes barreling out of the side of the timber and getting in between that doe and that little buck. And he's never in front of us. He's still to the right of us on the side where the window's not open.
Sure.
So I'm standing, have my bow in my hand, and Will's filming. And to his defense, he's new this year. He doesn't really know.
He's no Scott.
It's probably an opportunity where Scott or Aaron or somebody would have known to start unlocking windows and be ready to open it while I'm getting ready to draw and shoot because I'm ranging and opening windows, you know, unlocking stuff. And I'm in his defense, I'm telling him not to move because the doe's starting to stare at us because she's seeing the movement. The buck that's in front of us to the side or whatever, he's seeing us in there jacking around. Everybody's looking at us except for the big buck. He stops at 35 yards. Again, he's on this side window that I still don't have open.
Okay.
Gave us a quartering away shot for like 5 seconds and he's panting real heavily or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he walks back. He just changes his mind. The doe walks back in. He follows her. I get the windows open and it's all within a minute or less. You know how that goes. It's all quick.
0 to 100 miles an hour.
And so then I'm trying to draw him out of there, trying to light calls and this and that. And he's not having it. He's not moving. I can't see him. I know he's there somewhere. And I end up calling another little buck up out of the bottom of the timber. And he came and I thought, okay, great. He'll walk this deer off. That little buck stared at him at the edge, and at this point, all of our windows are open. We're ready, finally. And he's just staring at him, and he never would, the bigger buck, the one never came back out. And finally, the little buck walks back into that kind of timber behind us. So that's
weird.
And that's how the night ended. So we waited till it got real dark.
Yeah,
and
I was
then
going to say, how long did you
basically belly crawled out of there, you know, and like I said, it's real thick security cover. So it's 8 foot tall grasses and we were good because the wind was blowing basically right down the road we walked in on. It was perfect for it. So this is the night before gun season. So I'm
there's always a pressure to kill before gun.
Well, sure, I would. I mean,
everything changes.
There was 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks almost of hunting pretty hard with archery, trying, you know, all day sits and tree stands and just trying to get it done. And, you know, once gun season starts, you're like, okay, this deer, I told Aaron, I was like, well, the neighbor's going to kill this deer. You know how that goes.
Goodbye.
And but I did think, okay, he's on a doe. I talked to Terry and Forrest and all those guys. I'm like, he's on a doe right here. He's not spooked. He really didn't know we were there. There's a good chance he's going to be here in the morning or somewhere in the area. We had perfect wind again the next morning, opening day of gun season.
Yeah.
Took the 6.8 Western with me. I wasn't going to take any chances. And we go in there, and as soon as I'm in there an hour early, cover of darkness. And the moon we were lucky because that was like right around the full moon, but it was cloudy that morning. So it was dark enough to get in. Okay. Nothing blue going in. I felt good. We get in, we're sitting there because we're sitting there for so long. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull up my Command Pro app and I start looking at pictures. The deer is almost a mile away on the other side of the farm, a part of the property I've never had a picture of him. And he's without a doe. He's by himself walking away. And I'm like, holy crap, what the hell happened? And so we sit there a little bit longer. We sit there. My plan was just, I'm like, well, shit. I'm trying to figure out what to do now. And then about 9 a.m., the neighbor, we're probably 300 yards off the line on this particular ridge. And all of a sudden I see headlights come up on the neighbor's side. No. And then I was like, I just saw headlights. And I kind of hear a side by side. We hear a shot. I'm like, what the hell? And then I keep looking. I told Will to have the camera ready and just pay attention. He's like, I was like, I see Hunter Orange. He zoomed in. He's like, that's a fire. They lit a fire. It was so windy that morning. They lit a fire. The wind's blowing right down the ridge towards us. And there are deer running everywhere.
Campfire, yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why would they? It's the far back corner of their property. Pretty big piece of property they have. I don't know who they are, and I'm like, what the hell? So I sat there a little bit longer and I could just hear the side by side driving up and down the line. Never did see a person.
Weird.
I was like, well, really weird. So I kind of thought, I wonder if they're just kind of trying to sabotage the hunt. Maybe they're non-hunters, or I don't know. It's opening day of gun season, like really weird stuff. A lot of
odd choice.
Odd things happen. So anyways, we move and, I don't see that deer on camera again for 6 days. I thought for sure he was dead. And we're hunting hard, but never see him again for 6 days. I don't know where he went to, where he locked down. I'm sure he found a doe somewhere and locked down. And then finally he popped back up, and I had to come back home to help out for Randa had an event Thursday night, and then she had work. She works early when she has work. She's part-time, but she has to be in by like 6:30. So I took the kids to school, and Aaron went hunting. This was Friday morning, and sure enough, the one had come back the day before, so we knew he was in the area. Sure enough, he pops out right at a first legal shooting light, and Aaron's hunting the kind of middle of the farm, and he was after a different deer that we called Sprouts. He had a great encounter with him that Monday where he popped up the blind. He had a great encounter with him, and sure enough, deer comes out, pops him, drops him, and he texts me, and it's a weird feeling. It's something that I think all of us have to really look at ourselves a little bit, because you're happy for your friend, but you're like kind of like,
that was more possessive than I thought I was.
Yeah, and it's not something you're proud of either. You're like, God, why am I being like that? I had no right to. The neighbor could have killed him. At least my buddy killed him. We got footage of him, kind of, Aaron. And it's just like, hey, I'm happy for Aaron. It's his biggest deer ever.
Cool.
And so I was at home. I packed up my stuff. I was planning on coming up and then hunting that afternoon anyway. So I was like, hey, let's meet over at my place. I got a little new farm that I just purchased that's got a little cabin on it or whatever. Okay. And so we met up over there and got to celebrate together. Cool. and tape him out and all that stuff and listen to the story and all that. And so the first couple hours, like the drive up, it's just like, why, all this time, come to terms with it. You do. And it's, like I said, it's a shameful feeling.
But
I'm not proud of it.
We all contextualize hunting from our personal, like, we're the hero of our own story.
And that's it.
And
it's more of a me thing that you have to deal with personally. It's like, look, you have no right to this deer. No right to, more than anybody else does. And you just keep thinking, you're a deer. And it's not. The neighbors could have killed it, could have lived, could have whatever, got hit by a car.
Yeah, and it's also a different story when someone of low character like Aaron kills a deer like that.
That's right.
Like, man, you want something good to happen to good people.
That's right.
He's a bad man.
So, that afternoon, so we're running late now because we were hanging out at the cabin just shooting the shit and having a good time and telling deer stories. And that's where I start feeling better about, it's like, yeah, man, this is my butt. This is it. Like, this is what it's about. Get out of your head.
Yeah.
good for him. I was super happy.
Aaron's first buck for the season?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And he's hunted just as hard as I have. You know, it's one of those deals. And we've known each other a long time. I'm happy for Aaron. Now I am happy for Aaron. And he, for right away, he's like, sorry, I shot your buck. I was like, hey man, it's not my buck. I'm happy for you. Yeah. But I knew, okay, well, the one that he was after is still around. And I just kind of had a feeling about it. It was one of those, we kept saying it's like a Bucky type of a day. You just
I know
those days. And so I was like, all right, let's go back to the same spot actually, because I felt good about it. Was weird. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Cody West had been filming Aaron, and he's one of the Drury team members. And we had an 8-point, a mature 8-point, 5-year-old 8-point that was just starting to run the middle of the farm and push stuff out. And we're like, he needs to go. And so Aaron went in hunting, and this deer popped out and Cody shot him, fell right there. I mean, great kill. And I was up there hunting as well. So we got to go celebrate that together. Yeah. And then the one moved in to this ridge. Once the 5-year-old 8 was out, this other deer came in and moved in. And then Aaron killed him that morning, and he looked like he was with a doe, kind of protective of her. I was like, I wonder if she's still there. He didn't do any damage because the deer fell in the field. Cody's deer fell in the field. We haven't gone into the timber yet. So I was like, I'm going to go back in there. I just got a good feeling. And it's a good gun spot anyways. You could see a long way. I was shooting that 6.8 Western, got the Leupold scope on it with the CDS dial. Okay. So we went in there. It was like 2:30. We got in there. 3:30. Will's like, you know what I was doing? I was messing with my phone. I was testing out the new. I was trying to test out the new Leupold rangefinder with DeerCast, do some beta testing stuff. And he's like, hey, there's a buck. I could just tell in his voice he was really amped up. It's like, Matt, buck, and he's turning cameras on. and so I look over, is on my side. I look over, and I didn't even need to put the Leupolds on him. I'm like, that's Sprouts. And I threw up my BX4 range binoculars. He's 100 yards. I'm like, all right, that's him. And then we had the wind perfect. So we had to open the window, but he's staring right at us. He's at maybe 70 yards at this point. Oh, so that gun, that 6.8 is a long gun. And then I also have a suppressor on the end of it. And I mean, this thing's like an elephant gun. So you could see it in the footage. Like I'm holding it like this, and then I was like, all right, you're going to have to open the window so I can then kind of get it out, get it up out the window. So he opens the window, I get the gun out, and stop the deer, and he's quartering too slightly, put it right on his shoulder, just devastating.
That's a lot of kinetic energy.
Oh my goodness. And I'm shooting that copper impact. So it's the whole point of it is right at impact, it really explodes on him. So hit the deer, great kill. It's like 3:30 or 3:45 or whatever. He runs off, and so we, I call Terry and text Terry. He calls me, and Aaron, and he calls me, and my wife, and all that stuff. And so we get out. We got plenty of light left, so we go over there, start blood trailing him. And man, once he opened up, that's the weird thing about gun kills. At first, sometimes you'll see a little blood at the hit, and then there's like no blood for a little while, and you're kind of looking. We got back on the blood trail. Once he opened up, it was almost like shooting an expandable broadhead. Oh. It was unbelievable, the amount of blood coming out of this deer. Yeah, and so he gets over a ridge. We find him, laying there. Beautiful how he fell on kind of on a log, head, propped up. It was just really cool. And man, right there at the site where he fell, the amount of blood is just crazy.
I'm laughing because my buck, the first image I saw of him was the drone, and he was laying on his back.
And it was a guy
looking up at that guy. But my buck was looking up at the sky at the drone, dead. But it was just a weird angle to die. And like he must have been thrashing and just died on his back. But it's like he was doing a dog trick or something. Yeah. But that's a great feeling though when you finally see him.
Yeah. And so tag him, with the MDC app right there. And then we go do get him out of there and pull him out with the tracker and all that good stuff, and do the heroes and pictures and all that stuff you got to do for the show. But it was a nice feeling to be, I don't know, man. You always wish you could kill these deer with bows, and you did, but I didn't. Aaron didn't. But it's also a good feeling to finally notch a tag.
But think back. Is there a single kill that any of us have had that has all gone exactly as we wanted it to.
No, I can't think of hardly any.
I
can't think of any.
Yeah,
actually.
even my bow buck's like, oh, I regret the first shot. We all have idealized how we want it to go, and it just never does go that way. So,
well, and even like when we encountered the one the night before gun season, it was how I pictured it for the most part, other than every time I have encounters like that, I think about, okay, what would Mark do? What would Terry do? What would Wade,
Tim
Perry,
do.
Forrest? They'd all kill these deer. Not Tim. I think about all these guys and how good they are in the heat of the moment. Yeah, they'll have mess ups here and there, but they're really good at what they do, and they make those shots count. Because I thought about it, especially once Aaron killed, and I thought I had my chance. I got nothing it's my fault. He was at 35 yards quartering away for like 5 seconds. That's where I should have killed him. What I needed to do was open the window the first time he came out. I had a couple seconds to open it there. If I would have done that step, I would have had the chance.
What can you learn? Do differently next time? And that's the best you can do from a situation like that. And so,
anyways, I was happy that Aaron killed and I killed all on the same day. It was fun.
And Cody killed?
Yeah, 2 days before that. So
great, especially picking up that piece so late.
All three of us out of the same blind. That's a
good spot.
And we knew that when we picked it up. It had some existing clover. It was looking a little rough with the heat and all that, but the rain kind of popped it back out, and that's where all the does, that's where we would see 20 deer a night at least, right around this plot.
Yeah.
And so we felt like all the does are going to be there, a buck's going to be there at some point. And that's kind of how it worked out for all three of us. So anyways, it was fun. I'm glad to have been successful, but then I'm instantly thinking about, all right, I got to figure out how to bow shoot one here the rest of the season, and that's pretty hard typically after gun season.
Yeah,
it gets pretty hard, other than they go back to a bed to food type of a pattern. So we got Green Revisited coming up, that's good. But if you have any kind of standing beans or corn, that's usually good for you if you got some sort of food source.
And you're looking at that little sliver of time at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's a couple hours. You're getting 3 hours. You're done by 5:30 or whatever it is in the afternoon. So yeah. So that's where my head's at, and I got an Illinois gun tag for the second and third season, which I can't go for the third season. I got plans, but hopefully the second season we'll get something done. So
sure.
That's where I'm on.
Sweet. Well, congratulations, man. I know you've been working hard.
Yeah. So I haven't even, other than the one encounter with the one where it was in bow range, I had another encounter on that property with a really nice, maybe a mid 40s or a 150 type buck.
Okay.
That was on a doe that rattled and grunted. Couldn't get him to commit. It got him to stop, got him to kind of turn around, but couldn't get him within bow range. Yeah. Other than that, I really hadn't had any encounters with a mature buck.
Yeah.
So that's the other tough part when you hunt a lot and you pass 3 and 4 year olds, and it's just like, oh man, this is taking forever.
Yeah. And the upside of that is, okay, so you had like two good opportunities, you capitalized on one of them.
Yeah.
Like that's the positive side of, but we tend to be pessimistic, and we're always, what could I have done differently? Why didn't I do X or Y?
Yeah.
But he's dead.
Yeah.
Punch the tag.
Yep. On to figuring out how to try to kill one with my bow. So
yeah. I still got some good bucks showing up, but it's mostly nighttime pictures, which is just tough. But
yeah, for sure.
Keep at it.
So,
all right.
You heading back to Illinois at all?
Pending.
Yeah. So
pending the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I hope so, especially over the holidays. It'd be nice to get back up there. It was just so cool to be like, I still consider Ottawa like my home. I know like St. John, like that's your stomping grounds. Something about being back home. When you go to Walmart, you see people you grew up with. Yeah. And then to like bring it all together with your love of hunting and to be able to do all that, it was a really neat trip back. So I hope I can go again, plus that $500 tag.
For sure. Yeah, I haven't bought the archery tag because I haven't gone over to archery hunt. But I haven't bought my firearms tag. So
yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, my cameras are telling me all the places where there aren't deer, so I'm using them to narrow down where
that's one way to look at it.
There might be deer.
They're not here. But that's the whole thing. I mean, outside of like having a camera out like that revolver, I've watched it so many times just where I witness it with my own two eyes where they're right by the damn camera, but they're on the different side of it, or they walked, just behind it or whatever. It's like, man, you never know what all you're missing, but that 360 does help with that aspect of it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. In fact, I'm using my revolver on a relatively new piece this year, and it's helping me figure out like there are deer just on the edge of the infrared sensor, because I'm seeing eyeballs at nighttime, but I can't see what exactly they are. So I got to move it a little bit. But if I just had a regular trail camera, I would not be seeing those deer. Yeah. So. Heck, well, let's jump into the question of the day.
All right. So the question of the day is brought to you by Tracker Off-Road. On the trail, on the job, and on the hunt, Tracker Off-Road has you covered. And I will say it was nice. I told Will, so on our Tracker, we got a little like luggage carrier type rack on the back of it and the hitch. And I haven't been putting it in because I got to trailer the Tracker in and out of the property every day. And it's like a 30-minute drive from where I'm staying to where I'm hunting. And so I bring this basket, but I don't put it on. And for some reason that day, Saturday, I put it, or Friday, what would it be? Friday, I put it on before we went in for the hunt. And it does make it really convenient when you could drive right up to the dang deer and just put it on the basket on the back and drive out. Like,
someone asked when we were dragging my buck out of I'm sorry about making this about my deer, about the 200-foot valley. Someone asked, I don't remember who it was, would Matt do this?
I would have thought of a way to get out of it.
Let's call some buddies. I mean, that's kind of what I did.
mean, when you have to, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just like these Tracker, that was an EV. You can't always get it everywhere, but you can get it a lot of places.
Oh, if I could have gotten one down there, I would have preferred to do that.
Yeah, you may have had to put somebody on the front of it to keep it from popping a wheelie on the way out of there, or back up.
Let's see what'll happen here.
But no, Matt would have not probably figured a way to get out of it.
A drone recovery service.
Man, they are convenient.
Man, yeah, that would be nice.
It must be nice. We got a must be nice in there. You said it nicer, but
killed it out of a blind.
You were thinking it must be nice.
Must be real nice. So easy.
All right. So we got a question from Donald Huckle.
I don't know.
Huckle.
I don't know. Cool.
From the Rack Pack. All right. Will you guys be doing any podcast on aging deer? I have a new property this year and would like some advice. Well, funny thing you say that. I'm not great at it. I mean, you like to think like this property was brand new. We know real history other than you look at the size of the body, the head, try to go off of those things, mass on antler, but that's not always a given, and try to go from there. But I mean, Mark and Terry and those guys, every deer that I've ever showed Daddy's like, oh, it's a 3-year-old, isn't it? Or 4-year-old. I mean, they're always a year younger than I think they are, whether they are or not. I don't know.
Well, and I've even heard Mark talk about pictures that people send him, and he'll say, I need more angles on the deer. Like even Mark will say, I don't have enough information. You can't just look at maybe a straight on image of a deer and say, well, he's a 4.5.
Straight on's definitely tough. What if their head's kind of tilted down and out and kind of stretched towards the camera to make them look bigger? It's I mean,
it's just it's like guys not asking for directions or reading the instructions when they get a new device. It's just a point of pride, I think, to be able to, look at a deer and say, oh, he's 3.5 years old.
Try to look at belly, try to look at the back if it's sagging. You try to look at the brisket a little bit, the head, block ear, more of a Roman nose triangle kind of. Those are older deer. But as far as like between 4 and 5, that's where it's like, I think he's 5, might be 4. That's where it's a little bit tougher, especially if you don't have the history with deer.
Exactly. Or if you don't hunt in an area where deer have that age structure where you get to see a variety, like maybe you're only seeing 2.5 and maybe tops 3.5-year-old deer. It's just hard to dial in on that.
Yeah. So, but good question. I mean, maybe we will have the guys on and take a little tutorial.
Yeah. Hey, today's Wildlife Word is brought to you by Cold Steel. Anytime, anywhere. I've got one of their pocket swords via Spada.
You use that for much?
I used it.
It's a
Saturday.
pocket sword?
Yeah. It's.
Did you knife a guy?
Well, are we recording?
Yeah.
A couple, actually. 12-inch blade.
What are you doing? What are you, Rambo?
A little bit. I mean, in the musculature.
On the end of it?
It's got everything. It's got a sundial.
Pocket, like a little, you take the compass out and then there's like a little, like a pocket inside
Yeah,
the
it's
handle.
exactly.
Yeah.
Be a spotted compass. No, I used it to chop away a sapling to make room for a new trail camera. I'm beta testing some of the 2025 cell cameras.
As am I, Tim.
And there's some really cool stuff coming down the pike. But anyway, it was killer. Like I was able to use it pretty much like a hatchet to knock this tree down.
Nice.
And it makes you feel like a man.
What the tree did to you?
Rarely feel that way. Okay, what word is used to describe a whitetail's vision? Is it A, dichromatic, B, trichromatic, C, binary, or D, non-binary?
Seems like a woke version of
Jim, I think, wrote this, and Jim, if I'm correct, is extremely woke.
Dichromatic A.
Say it with more conviction.
Dichromatic A.
Your second answer is right.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I would tell you why
surprised.
I think this. No, I'm not surprised. I feel like they have, like, it's not singular vision, but there's like maybe two. Is that two?
Yeah.
Chromatic is something to do with color.
Color? Yeah.
So this is how I answer questions. We know this, Tim.
The best thing in the world I think a teacher ever did, I had an AP biology course in high school. Our teacher went through and taught us all the Latin prefixes and suffixes. Mm-hmm. So you can look at a lot of scientific words and just figure out what they should mean. It was. I'm so glad he did that.
That's what I did.
Rest in peace, Mr. Johnson. I was thinking about your rips over the weekend.
What rips?
When we'll mention, like, we're talking about Naomi Judd, and you're like, rip.
All right.
And how, like, irreverent it sounds.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be rest in peace.
Well,
rip.
That's how social media is. Thoughts and prayers, T's and P's. You can just call it T's and P's.
It's gotten very ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we have a shout out this week.
Hey,
we usually have shout outs. They're just kind of hidden away.
Yeah. All right. So this shout out's from Brett Shamry from Deercast.
Shamry.
He says, quite frankly, I don't know what. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Quite frankly, one of your best podcasts. So he's talking about the drone recovery episode. So that'd be your deer. Would that be because it was your deer? Maybe.
Let's go with that.
Coming from a dad who was fortunate to enjoy early success with his son, brought back many good memories. Thank you for that. You two make a great team. Keep up the great work. He said good work, but I'm going to call it great work.
Great team, good work.
Great team.
We're better together. I think that's what he's
decent
saying.
Work.
Right. Well, someone else wrote on that podcast post in Deercast, like, can we please get the technology out of hunting?
No.
And I don't think
it's not going anywhere.
I don't know how we would have recovered that deer.
Aaron had he took his daughter this weekend, and might have been her first deer, first buck for sure. Uh-huh. And they could not find it. Hit looked good, and they just could not find it. So he called a drone service, and they found it immediately the next morning, which is what your experience was. It's like, hey, would you rather not find it at all? And I get it, like, where's the woodsmanship and all that, but like, if you run out of blood
and it's on a different property,
what are you supposed to do? I don't know.
Yeah, it would be different if I were using the drone to scout for where deer are and follow them around and then kill them, but
shoot them from the sky.
That's not. Whoa.
Dropping bombs.
I have an idea for a new Deercast
I'm
feature.
all for it.
Yeah. Okay, and we have some new Rack Pack members.
Do you want to read them this week?
I do.
Okay. It's your first time.
This is a new honor. Welcome to these Rack Pack members. Dylan Gristy, fake. Derek Ramey, also fake. Ramey was the maiden name of Patty Loveless.
Another fun fact, Tim.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was fun.
Exactly.
Brent Jones, Craig Williams, Ryan Fleming, Patio Furniture.
Okay.
And Jimmy Gillespie. All right, Jimmy. Yeah, right. Faker.
Sounds like a
I like
player.
patio furniture. Jim, that was a great one, man. Nice.
Hats off to Jim Richmond, who's looking at us. We have a special in-studio guest today. We have Coondog.
He's kind of sitting coquettishly.
Coquette? What?
No, not coquette. Coquettish.
Dog, I take offense to that.
COQUETTISHLY. This is in honor of Cam's spelling bee today.
Ah, yes. My son has his first spelling bee this afternoon.
Coquettishly. Coondog was sitting coquettishly.
Coondog, you've had a hell of a season.
So far, yes.
He says so far, yes. All right. If he would have gave us a heads up, we would have been able to shoot a podcast with him.
I saw him in the parking lot when I pulled in. I rolled down the window and I said, "Pow, baby, pow."
Tim,
And
do you work here?
He's
Okay. All right. Coondog says we can have him when he gets back from Kansas.
Ooh.
All right. Deal.
All right.
All right.
Got him.
So let's put a pin in this one, Timmy.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Good luck to everybody out there still hunting away.
It can happen to you at any time. It does help
Anytime.
if you can firearm hunt.
Yeah. Guns are nice.
Yeah. All right. Good luck. Be safe. Identify your targets. Peace out.
Take land management to the next level with DeerCast's exclusive virtual rain gauges. Pinpoint accuracy and historical data, all powered by industry-leading ag weather services. DeerCast has the tools to keep you ahead of your game.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by DeerCast Maps, waypoints, weather, virtual rain gauges, and more. Every tool you need to get ahead of your game.